hoist on the tripod. We're gonna fish for a few minutes. I didn't give anybody any heads up, sorry. But it started to lay down beautifully this evening, so I figured we'd go fishing for a few minutes. We've had beautiful sunny days now for 2 days in a row. This probably is not going to work like this, because then I've got to, I'm not really going to get a good cast here. I brought a spinning rod with me, just in case. Just thought I'd throw a jerkbait for a few minutes. Everybody hear me all right? I see some people jumping in. What's up, Eric, Merlin, John Burrows, Rick Menzel, Joseph Zeski, Scott Duranda, Mary Burke. It is a beautiful evening. There we go. Right down in the spot right there. Just bear with me, we'll get you guys straightened out here. I figured I'd throw a jerkbait for a few minutes. I don't know if you can see. Let's see if we can adjust accordingly. Give it a couple pops, let it sit. 5 to 10 count, could be longer, could be shorter. I'm trying not to crack my rod on the edge of the dock. Water's cold, but boy, this big high sun and this spring sun is warm. I guess we'll come back over here. I'm not showing you anything. I think I'm going to switch this up. We'll throw that little skirted grub and see if we can grab something. Hold on a second, guys and girls. Sorry, guys and girls. La 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 la, me. I know what you're wondering. The rumors are true. I'm a fantastic singer. Good evening, Jeff Brown, Larry Kelly, TG. Larry Kelly just said 28-inch walleye coming up. I'd settle for an 8-inch walleye. Rumble Seat, how you doing? Tim Graver? Get the boat wet. Yeah, Tim and I were talking about that earlier today. I'm watching this weather pretty closely. I may even slip the boat back in the water tomorrow, or at least charge the batteries up and fire it up and get it rolling again. Before we go too far, I want to say, boy, I really enjoyed myself yesterday, and I want to thank Captain Jason from Real Naturals Charter Service. Jason's out of Ithaca, fishes Cayuga, fishes Oneida, fishes the Salmon River some, fishes, I think he said Lake Ontario. I was with my friends Paul from Pisa Regional and JJ from Mountain Spruce Grove. And it's not often when you're in your 50s that you get to say you've done something new or for the first time or whatever the case may be. And, you know, I'll be 52 here pretty quick. And yesterday was the first time I've ever fished on the Finger Lakes. I've been on the Finger Lakes before, but always duck hunting. It's the first time I've ever caught a lake trout jig fishing. It's the deepest I've ever jigged for anything, 200 foot of water on bottom. I told Mike Urema from I1 Baits that I had a bite. I had a fish on that I fought for a minute or two on Homie the Clown in 200 foot of water. Before that, Mike said the deepest he'd ever fished one, they fished it down to about 75, 80 feet. So there was a tremendous amount of firsts yesterday, crazily so. And man, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly. My buddy Paul and we were texting this morning, and I said, you know, you and I fished on 3 bodies of water together this year, in the past calendar year. Because this time last year, on this exact date, we didn't even know each other yet. And we fished the night together, Cayuga yesterday, and we fished the Salmon River. And now he wants to go, and Paul's like, well, let's keep it rolling then. Let's go down to the ocean here pretty quick when the spring stripers start running. And I got to tell you that I'm pretty excited about that too. I'm in the final stages of my boat deal. I talked to them today. A lot of stuff going on for Walleye Fest. We've had a glut of, and we need more, but we've had a lot of tickets sold here in the last couple days. Courtney has been posting on Instagram and a couple other places and expanding our reach into other geographic areas, or trying to, along the Thruway corridor and the 81 corridor from Watertown all the way to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and from Albany all the way to Buffalo. You know, and if everybody or anybody watching in those areas along the way thinks they can help out, I've got some mailings I'm going to get out this week to some people in different areas that they wanted to express interest into taking them around to some tackle shops or whatever. I've signed up a bunch of vendors already for the we're about a third full already for the vendors, and I've really only been doing it for a week trying to find people. So if you have a business, or you know someone that has a business in the fishing industry or in something else that's local, or that people are going to want to see at the show, you know, I mean, so guys fishing, a couple guys together fishing the Derby, and you know they want to go to the festival part, to the Walleye Fest, and bring their wives and kids, and there's going to be stuff for them there too. You know, there's going to be a lot of good stuff there at the show to see. We have stuff just for kids. We have stuff for everybody. We have things that hopefully the ladies will like. You know, my wife and a couple other of the women that are in our circle, you know, helping us with this, have tried coming up with things that they would like to see at a show like this. You know, we went to the Home and Garden show last weekend, and we talked to a couple great vendors that are going to be at our show in May. So, you know, we're trying to put together something really, really great, and great for everybody out there, all the consumers, all the customers, to come and have fun, have a great derby, have tons of amazing prizes. I spoke to the dealership today, the boat dealership he's one step closer to getting a boat for one of the tagged fish. We have an amazing prize. We have a trolling motor from, I believe, now that's not a definite yet, but Minn Kota, the people at Minn Kota have offered a trolling motor as a prize. I just don't know how to give it away as a prize. Like, how would you give something that big away as a prize? Like, I thought about maybe as a big fish, as one of the tagged fish, you know, and doing that, because that's really worth a lot. I mean, that's pretty tremendous. And when you have stuff like that, you know, you really want to try and get the most bang for your buck out of it, you know. And somebody's gonna offer up a couple $1,000 trolling motor. You want to make sure that you do everything in your power to make sure whoever gets it has really accomplished something. Let's see. Typically fishing. Great to see you, Matt. Iris and I are signed up for Walleye Fest. Right on. Super pumped. Enjoy the nice weather. Typically fishing. It's a beautiful day out. I mean, you can see when you look to the west. That's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous sunset. I've been out here 3 times today when I've got up from my laptop from doing Walleye Fest work and came out here and made a few casts, and it's really any day now. I have not had a bite, and I've been out here for the last 2 months, maybe on and off when the weather's right. You know, I'm not coming out here and freezing my ass off on purpose, but a couple of these days of that real hard, heavy, bright sun, and that sun's got a lot of warmth in it. I mean, when I left here, all right, so yesterday morning when I left the house at 5:30 to head down to Cayuga Lake, everything was completely covered in snow. Everything. And you can see in one day just how much green grass is there. My driveway was completely covered yesterday morning when I left, and now it's completely not covered. So this spring sun has a lot of heat in it. What's my point in that? That these shoreline waters will warm up fast, and they will pull bait fish into those warm waters, and right behind that bait will be the predators, especially now when things are starting to open up. I know there's still some ice on the west end here. I thought maybe that wind yesterday would have done something to it, and maybe it has. I haven't went out and looked today, but I still am pretty close to putting the boat back in the water. I can start fishing the river a little bit. I can fish out, you know, a little ways in front of the bridge. But it looks like maybe this weather is broken now for the season. We'll see. Let's keep seeing who's here today. Rumble seat. When it comes to a spinning reel's gear ratio versus feet of line taken up on one turn fishing a blade bait, how many feet of line take up do you prefer, or at least what gear ratio? Does it matter? The reels I fish, I have two different gear ratio reels, and most spinning reels are 5-to-1. This one right here is an Okuma Avenger. It's a lower model Okuma. It's probably in the $50 range. Although I do typically like them quite a bit, and I have used them with clients flawlessly for years, so I started using them for myself now too, because I have a couple ones left. I have my Lew's. Those Lew's are high speed. They're a 6.2-to-1. So what is my theory on that? I have this 5-to-1 Okuma on this JTX 7'9". It's a mag medium light, okay? And I have the slower reel because, like, right now I'm fishing this skirted jig, okay? So it's or a skirted what do you call that thing right there? Grub. I want to be painful. I want to be retrieving it painfully slow. No different than if I'm throwing a swim bait. It's certainly in cold water conditions, but almost any time. There is that slow rolling a swim bait, soft plastic swim bait, you know, the Kitex or whatever I like to use. I like to fish them slow, you know, and there a couple of my videos last year, I started joking that I was fishing it like barbecue, low and slow. So I want a slower gear ratio reel because it's slower and it's not moving that bait as quickly. Now, when it comes to, I have those Lew's reels on everything else. On all of my black reins, I've got 3 black reins, 6'3", 6'9", and 7'3". I had to remember there for a second. I'm fishing much more aggressive presentations on that, faster. Although I will say, I'm not a big snap, high lift jig fisherman usually. And I use the word jig universally. That's jig and rapala, that's blade bait, that's bucktail, that's whatever you would be jigging. Let's just call it universally jigging. People think, oh, the pickup ratio is I like a faster reel and everything else just because it's faster, and I can go slow if I want to, but if I really need to pick up line or with a walleye situation, there's not many times where a walleye charges you at the boat fast enough to where you can't catch up to it or keep up with it. Smallmouth can do that sometimes. Trout and salmon can certainly do that, especially in a moving water situation. But if you're up like this and it's going down and you see that line jump on the way down, which doesn't happen often, it's usually picked up off the bottom. You could make the argument that you would want a faster reel. I think the majority of it is preference. I'm trying to give you a definitive answer, Bob, as to why I do things the way I do, but some of what I'm telling you is my preference as opposed to some sort of undisputable fact that is carved in stone. TG, those stripers are coming. You ain't kidding. And I have fished stripers a few times. My buddy Keith, you see him on here all the time, Keith Horns. Keith and I have done 2 trips now together, 2 guided trips. The first time years ago, we took both our wives and the 4 of us went out. And his wife caught a huge striper, 30 plus pounds, almost 40, huge. My wife had one on and it come off, and that was the only stripers we caught that day for the first trip. We went and caught a ton of blues and had a lot of fun, but and then Keith and I went last year with Captain Carl, who I've been out with a couple times. Courtney and I went fluke fishing with him. This was the first trip. This was last spring for stripers. The fishing was good. I don't know. I think Keith and I caught 3-4 fish apiece, but it was all trolling out in the mess of boats. And I had told Carl before we went, and you can go back and look at the video, and it was a great day. Don't get me wrong. Keith and I had fun. It was the first time we'd ever, they were the biggest stripers I'd ever caught. And I think before that, I'd only caught something out to 14, 15 inches off the beach. So that was cool. And it was the first, and I caught couple big adult stripers. But I really wanted to be casting for them. And I really, really want to do that this spring, whether I now take my new boat down there and do it, or whether I go out with somebody. I mean, we were fishing in the Raritan Bay, which is really, honestly, as long as it's not a due east or northeast wind, it's really, a normal day weather, water-wise. A lot of boat traffic out there, but it's a normal day, wave-wise for like a NIDA. Raritan Bay is not some big, gigantic body of water. But the spring, that's where those stripes. So I really do to go striper fishing. Last fall was one of the most epic runs that have come down the East Coast in a lot of years, talking to people that do it every year. And I kept telling myself I was going to go, but I was locked in up here. I couldn't wait to get out every morning up here, wherever I was, and most of it was on a NIDA. And I didn't go anywhere else, and I should have left and went away for a couple days and really got into that. So this year, my goal, one of my things for this year is I'd like to fish the stripers spring and fall, and I'd really like to get them casting. Joseph Zeski, have you ever pulled flies on a NIDA? So Joseph, be more specific. Do you mean just a tide lure, or do you mean like a fly, streamer, whatever, on a fly rod with fly line? The short answer is, yeah, kinda. I forget what they were called in the old days, and I'm not being funny, but like Bufo or some of the older guys, maybe Don Terry would know. It was, I think they called them June bug spinners, and the body was a black and yellow chenille with a little red tail and a little white calf tail wing on top. And then in front of it, it had a piece of solid gold wire with a little small Colorado blade on it, gold blade on it. And my grandpa had a bunch of those in his old box, and years ago I did rig it up, kind of Carolina rigged it with a weight and drifted it and caught some fish. I caught a couple walleyes and a couple smallmouth on it. This was years ago. That would be the closest thing I would say I've ever done to pulling flies. I did talk to Big Jim Froyo. He was at a fly fishing show earlier this year, and I saw one of his posts on Facebook, and I said, hey, I got an idea. Tie me a 2.5 to 3 inch long, olive, brown, black kind of mayfly larva, mayfly nymph, about that big, and tie it on like a straight shank #1 Aberdeen hook. And I thought about using it on a drop shot. Or you could Carolina rig it, just like I was saying. You could absolutely Carolina rig it and drag it on the bottom. You could even put a little bit of foam flotation underneath the body, so it floated a little bit, and you could drag it Carolina rig style with a weight, anywhere from 12 inches to 24 inches in front of it, and drag it on the bottom when the mayfly hatch is really going. Why wouldn't the walleyes and the smallmouth eat that? So I would like to try that if you're talking about flies as well. I would really like to try that. Tammy Hoover says raffle ? I've got Mike's stuff I got to send out, Tammy. I didn't leave the house today, sorry. But I will get it out this week. And the new raffle boards, if everybody's seen my post, Bob Hutt made 5 absolutely stunning small handled cutting boards, like a cheese board or something like that, or even just to hang it on your wall as a memento. I mean, they're gorgeous, and he made them and donated them to all of us specifically for the next 5 weeks raffles. So every Saturday now, we've done 2 already, and we've got another one coming up this Saturday, and every Saturday from the rest of the month, or from the rest of the time until Derby weekend, every Saturday morning, I pick a number, a ticket number and a name out of my list, and they win the raffle. So far, the first 2 weeks raffles have been full of incredible stuff. And now this week's raffle and every one for the rest of the way on will include one of those amazing boards. Couldn't thank Bob enough. Courtney and I went and picked him up yesterday. Not only does he have just a amazing wood shop at his house, wow, with all the toys and all the stuff, and he does incredible work. The only way to get in on these raffles is to buy your Derby ticket. And so everybody that's already in come Saturday, you're going to have 5 chances for the next 5 weeks to win one of those boards. And if you want to get in on it, you got to buy your ticket. We got to buy your tickets early and soon, and we got to get into all this stuff. Because I don't even know. I know that this week we have a board. We have a $25 gift card for a Pizza Regional to have dinner down there. Paul was telling me yesterday about one of the new pizzas he has on special right now. It's a mixed mushroom that we're all locally sourced and foraged. Mushroom pie right now that he said is out of this world. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of mushrooms in the whole world, but if he said it was good, I would try it. No question. Let's see what else we got here. What's up, Scott Degata? Brian Hammond, what's up, Hammer? Let's see, who else we got? Joseph Herman says, looked like you could make it out to buoy 135 from the river. He's saying out onto the lake. I know it's been open out there a little bit, so hopefully it'll be open a little bit more. Aaron Lussier, how you doing? Jim Hagler. Brian, you'd have to explain that one a little more. Brian Hammond is talking about everyone's conversation here about gear ratio and whatnot and retrieve speed. So Brian says drift speed can make a difference if you can't slow down enough for a faster reel ratio. I don't want to surmise what you're saying, Brian. You'd have to explain that a little more in depth. Tammy Hoover, raffle for the trolling motor. I'm just seeding the waters right now with that one. I talked to the Minn Kota guy today, and he brought it up, and I didn't even know yet how to. I'm not sure yet what to do with a prize that awesome. I'm not sure how to make a big enough splash out of it, so it's really a big deal. I'm open for suggestions. I know Tammy says raffle for the trolling motor. I don't know that I don't want to necessarily do that. I'm not sure yet. TG got my personal best last season on the Hudson River, Albany area, 47-inch in the 40-pound range. Okay, you're talking about stripers. Man, that's a slob. And yeah, I've got a friend of mine up here goes down in the Hudson somewhere down around Troy and fishes them in the river in the spring. And I met a guy up here on the Salmon River guiding a couple years ago. He was another guide, and he works down there in the spring, lives down there in the Hudson somewhere. So maybe we'll explore that. That would be pretty cool too, catch them in a river. Let's see. Joe Zeski says those were little wonders. Okay, that makes that sounds familiar now. Absolutely, little wonders. Yep, a couple guys said that. Steve Smith, Captain Dan Wood, best day I ever had striper fishing. Niantic, Connecticut, casting, catching until I couldn't move my arms anymore. Steve, I'm down for that. I am down. What time of the year? Give me the guy's name, have him contact me. We will hook it up. I am down for casting for those big stripers or blues. Listen, I remember years ago when I was guiding full time, and everybody that came up from anywhere near the shore would be like, oh yeah, bluefish suck and they just eat everything and you can't eat them. Rarely do I care about how good a fish is to eat. I just want to go catch them, and most of them I let go. But I'll tell you what, you get into those big blues that are over 10 pounds. Courtney and I had them one day on topwater in an inlet, and by about the 10th one, she caught like one, maybe two. She's like, this is too much work. You want to talk about fast and hard and pull and tug and just crash stuff. Man, they're fun to catch. And casting for those things, I could do that all day too. It wouldn't bother me one bit. Aaron Lussier says, do you use the clasp that comes on the blades from I1 Baits, or do you change them out? No, those are very high quality Roscoe snaps. They are small, they are super light. I've never had one open up. And yes, I leave them right on. I have a pile of them now because I usually just have one on a tied on a rod, and then every bait comes with one. So, but yes, I leave them right on and I use them. Joe Zeski, white bass flies. Nope, I have never tried that. Carl Capper says, hi Matt, ice about gone on the east end of Oneida Lake. Yeah, if this weather stays, it won't be long. I see Don Terry made it out today, and he was worried that the shoreline was going to loosen up or melt away. I saw Eric Wisniewski was still out, but everybody's going to be in the same boat here pretty quick. I mean, when this finally does break into spring, there's going to be no holding it back. Oh, it's okay. So Brian Hammond just answered, drifting downwind will need to recover line quicker is all. Okay, yeah, sure. You're trying to pick it up quick in between jigs. So as it comes up and it's dropping, you drop your tip, you pick up that line. So yeah, it makes sense. And you're quicker on the uptake too. Don Terry, I caught a 16 pack of perch today. Probably my last ice trip. Shore ice is going to hell by me after this sun. Yeah. Yep. Aaron Lussier, is Jim Raymond's marina one of the measuring stations, and they have boat launch? I didn't know Jim Raymond had a marina. You're talking about the old boathouse out in Constantia. I don't know anything about that. That was the last place I knew. Jimmy's shop is right up the road here, but there's no marina. The Airbnb my friends and I got is just to the east of that. If you're on the North Shore, the closest there's two measuring stations on the North Shore. Spruce Grove in Constantia and Apps Landing on the east side of Cleveland, right on the water. Both right on the water. Yeah, Jim Hagler says blues are fun, just don't get close to those teeth. You're right on that part. Rumble Seat is asking, Merlin, do you think 3,000 would be a good reel size? That again is preference, Bob. I know a lot of guys that like to fish thousands and 1,500s. That to me is too small, and I find that my hand is always getting cracked like this. This is a 4,000. Most of my two, let's see. This is a 4,000. My two Lew's. My two Lew's are both 3,000 size. I typically don't go much smaller than a 3,000 size unless I'm ice fishing. All right, everybody, man, that's a quick 30 minutes. Sun's almost down. I'm gonna call it a day. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Remember that first really amazing board is going to go for raffle this Saturday. So make sure you got your tickets. I'm sure everybody on here has already got your tickets, but tell everybody that you know, get your tickets. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me tonight. As always, I love having you guys around. I love sitting here talking with everybody. Have a great evening. Keep your tip up.